What we're witnessing is the moment when the rookie becomes the veteran, when the new flashy kid on the block works it out and sort of calms it down and gets to the point and the center of all things and kind of gets in his groove and goes from being all this extreme and on the edges and the fringes of things to going into the center and being really important and having a big thing to say about the world. What I'm talking about is Jaden Smith and what he's done with his New Balance. I think what these mark is that transition from the young to the established. I think this is the moment, this is his time when he goes from being a rookie, from being young, from being new to being established and being someone who sets trends instead of just follows trends. And I think these shoes mark that. I think there's particular details on these shoes that say that Jaden Smith is going from young, new and vibrant and into that experienced sort of almost veteran world of things, which is ridiculous to say for somebody as young as he is, but he's worked it out. He's matured into a really talented artist in many different ways, and fashion is one of them, and these shoes mark that. I'm going to take you through why I think it is that these shoes mark a real watershed for Jaden Smith. And there's one more thing that you're going to race me on. There are pink hits through both of these shoes. There's basically a triple white and a triple black, but both of them have a ring of pink hits around them, but they're very hard to see what they are, and you're going to race me. I'm going to tell you what it says for those pink hits later in this video, but see if you can get it in the comments down below before I tell you. So with all that being said, let's take a look at this. Both pairs of shoes in the upcoming release from Jaden Smith with the New Balance Vision Racers in pink and white and pink and black. This is a Tokyo Butter 23 Secret Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Secret Channel. It's Mainichi. Absurdo Day, Mainichi Media Design. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And what we're looking at today is two shoes coming from Jaden Smith and his tie-up with the New Balance line. They're called Vision Racers. I think I'm right in saying this is the third time I've looked at these shoes with this line. I can't remember the names of the previous ones I looked at, but I know for sure when I first saw them, I was like, whoa, what are those guys? They're way out of left field. I haven't seen these guys before, and then I dug into them, found out about the tie-up with Jaden Smith, and then looked at them in those previous videos. And then today, what caught my eye is, like I said, there's a maturity about them. There's a level up. There's a next step, a next stage about these shoes that tells me that Jaden Smith as a person has moved into that sort of more established, more sort of centered stage in his career as a creator of many things, not just fashion, but also music. Many things, and influencers, they say, in today's world. And they're great looking shoes, both beautiful shoes, but that big chunky midsole is definitely the sort of standout feature on them. And it caught me by surprise, even though this is the third time I've looked at these shoes, it caught me by surprise. I was scrolling, looking at images of them, and obviously when you're scrolling, you get to the top of the shoe first, and then, you know, the upper into the midsole, and I was like, I was expecting the outsole to come sooner. It took a lot more scroll than I was expecting to get through that midsole and into the outsole. But that's a shoe. But there's something about it where the previous versions were just sort of like almost eccentric and kind of like wild. Whereas these guys, even with that huge midsole on them, he's worked it out and he's got it all sort of sorted out for him. So what we're going to do is go through the shoe and look at the different elements of it, and hopefully from that you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about when I say that he's gone next level in his career. So first things I want to do is first, and I think it's probably easier to see on the white version, is I want to quite zoom in on the upper and have a look at the materials that are going in there, because there's three different materials that play on these shoes. There's leathers, there's suedes, and there's mesh, but because they're triple whites and triple blacks, it's really hard to see definition between the different parts of the materials. But hopefully what I've been able to do is find a place on the upper to zoom in on the green screen here and give you a look at all three of those materials in the same kind of zone, and you get that feeling of lux, of quality, of hype about these shoes, and not that feeling of sort of like extravagant wildness. That lack of control that we saw with earlier efforts from Jaden Smith has now kind of worked it out. Now, I played golf as a kid. Because I'm from Scotland and everybody plays golf in Scotland. And I also did orienteering. I don't know if you know what the sport orienteering is, but there's a thing about both of those that I think is coming together in Jaden Smith's shoes. And with golf, when I was learning how to play golf, I'd hit it wildly left. And then to compensate for that, I'd hit it wildly right. And then I'd compensate it and hit it pretty left and pretty right and a little left and a little right. And eventually I'd work my way down to hitting the ball straight. And it's the same with orienteering. They have this thing in orienteering when you have a target that you're aiming for. If you try and aim for the target, if you're just slightly off, you'll miss it and go through. So instead of aiming for the target, what you do is you deliberately aim left and then come in from the side to make sure that you don't miss the target. And it's a bit like that with these shoes, you know, that what Jaden Smith has been doing throughout his career is sort of aiming wildly left and right and gradually sort of working his way back towards the middle to a place of quality and a place of hype and lux. And that's where I think we are with these shoes and these materials on the top and the way they're structured and the way they aren't extravagant, they aren't over the top, to me is telling us that he's got to that next stage in his career and in his sort of planning and his creation, his creativity. So now staying on the upper half of the shoe, there's a lot to talk about in the bottom half of the shoe, but staying on the upper, one of my favorite things, I've never said this word before in a video, and we're talking like 800 plus videos for YouTube. I've never said the word chevron, but I love the chevron design. And the chevron design looks like this, or it could look the inverse of that, like this, but it's basically two lines coming to a point in one way or the other. And you'll be seeing what I'm talking about here on the tongues, that there's those chevrons that run up the length of the tongue. But in British humour, chevrons have a special place because of a guy called Alan Partridge. Late 90s humour, if anybody knows anything about Alan Partridge, specifically about chevrons, definitely hit me up with a comment down below, because it's one of my favourite comedy moments of all time, and seeing chevrons on these shoes just made me super happy. But they still look good. They're not comedy at all on these shoes. They're quality for sure. And running up from that chevron that runs the length of the tongue on the lacing system, you get to the top, and right at the top there you've got that branding that comes in with these shoes, and that's really important. You know, the Vision RACER branding on these shoes is really important, because that's the bit that's played in 3 different places throughout these shoes. And what I'm talking about is, like I said, at the top of those tongues, you see it's interesting because it's sort of vertical instead of horizontal, and it says the Vision RACER up there. And this is answering that question I said at the start, if anyone was racing me and got there before I said it. That pink line that runs around the shoe, almost like a circumference, like an equator on both the black and the white versions. It looks like they're just big long dashes, and it's very difficult to zoom in and see. I think I'll be able to zoom in on the black ones and you'll see there's some kind of writing, but it's hard to define what it is. But what it actually says is Vision RACER, and a little bit more than that. At either end of Vision RACER there's 2 brackets, not 1 but 2 brackets, and that's why it's a bit hard to read. But now that you know it says bracket, Vision RACER, bracket, hopefully you'll be able to see zoomed in on the green screen here that that's what the pink says. Or you already knew that and you beat me to the comments down below. So up on the tongues, you've got the Vision RACER is branded up there. Then that circumference that runs around it in the equator sort of line, Vision RACER repeated all the way around there. And then the biggest pop comes on the outsoles. And we'll start with the white ones here. And there are 3 things to talk about in terms of the white ones and the black ones collectively. And then there's one specific thing that's different for the 2. So the 3 things that are consistent, we'll start with the most boring of them, which is the New Balance branding, NB branding towards the front end of the outsole there. But then the most important, perhaps one of them, is on both shoes. It's an icy blue translucent outsole that looks right through to the 3rd point, which is that double bracketed Vision RACER branding in pink within the shoe. So those 3 things are kind of standard on them. But what we'll do is we'll flip back and forward a little bit between the white and the black ones here. And you'll see that because of the translucence of the outsole looking through to the lighter and the darker materials on each shoe respectively, you can see that there's a different vibe to the outsoles. Even though the Vision RACER in pink is the same, the translucence in the light icy blue is the same, and the branding of the New Balance is the same, what it looks through to is a different colour, so it gives you a different feel for that outsole on there. And it's a great detail on this shoe, and a great sort of it's a controlled piece of pop, you know what I mean? It's not just a wild sort of random stroke, it's actually a controlled piece of fire on the shoe, and it's something that I really dig, and something I think a really nice feature on the shoe. It's something that really brings the shoe together and gives you that kind of overall impression of an artist in control of what he's doing, and not just randomly sort of just, I don't know if you guys know what a Jackson Pollock is, and hopefully I'll be able to get you a Jackson Pollock painting by me here, which is an extremely random piece of art, and I feel like, that's the kind of thing that we're getting with Jaden Smith, is moving from that random into the controlled. And this to me is all about control. He's absolutely nailed both of these colorways, the triple white and the triple black. Even though they're talking about the colorway being white and pink and black and pink, the pink really is only that Vision Racer wrapped around in very small details. So it's triple white, triple black, as far as I'm concerned. But what it is all cool. So nice job with these ones. Like I say, I've done previous Vision Racer shoes, but these guys are the ones that I think really he's settled into a groove, and he knows who he is as an artist and as a creator, and you can see that in these shoes. So I think for sure this is the moment. Maybe 2021 is going to be Jared Smith's year. Smith's year. And it'll be a big, big year for him, and hopefully these shoes will mark the very beginning of that. So Jaden Smith, hopefully 2021 is going to be a big year for you. Okay, time for me to sign off and just finish up this video. And all I have to do at the end of my videos is the thing that I do every single day, is I thank you guys for checking out the content. I truly do appreciate it, but I also remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.